about the Messi thing.
Anything else on the Messi front, Chris, before we move on?
No, I'm done. I'm
I'm falling out. I told you, I never want to bring this guy's name up again.
I don't know, man. This Messi thing is just a freaking mess. What a disaster.
I don't want to hear this name ever again until it's official. But they got me back.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Orlando, you guys fucking suck. Welcome to the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Chris Duran, aka KBD, and I am going to be doing this show dolo for tonight. Danny is actually coming down from Orlando. He was out there in Old Town enjoying some of the scenery. What a game, huh, guys? Here we are. It was 1-1. It was, obviously the second goal, the first goal that we allowed, the only goal that we allowed from Orlando kind of sucked. But we're going to recap all of that stuff. We got a couple topics that it's been strong in my head, what I kind of wanted to go over, because I've been playing a little bit on Twitter today, and these Orlando people, I thought fan bases are typically delusional, but these guys in Orlando, right? I mean, they are just they're another level of delusional. I'll say that. Look, it would have been great to have the game where we won, obviously. I don't know how to say your name. Hey, what's up, man? Yes, good day for Inter Miami. We got a point, right? We didn't stay in the same spot. I'm going to go over the standings in just a little bit. Everybody is pretty happy with the result. I mean, look, when you go and you play an away game, obviously you want to get a win, and especially against a team like a rival, right? Like Orlando. Leonardo, yes, that is accurate. They are, yes, that team has a bunch of clowns as fans and guys that eat sandwiches pretty weirdly, But obviously, when you go to play a team, I mean, you want to come out with 3 points, right? And especially against an in-state rival. But in the trajectory where we're at, right, we can afford to take one loss, and the rest have to be wins. So walking away with a tie against Orlando, where they thought that they were going to mop us, right? And this might be a little shout out to my daughter, right? Because we were talking about vacuum clean, right? Because everybody, how do you say vacuum cleaner in Spanish, right? Vacuum cleaned. I mean, we Googled it. It's like a bunch of other names. Off topic. You guys got cleaned up, Orlando. And I got the purple vacuum for you and everything, Papa. How you guys going to lose against us when you said that we had nobody to play against you guys? You guys are tremendo. So, yes, you want to walk away with 3 points, but unfortunately, we couldn't get that in. We walk away with a 1-1 tie, stay with a point, and hold on. There's a question here. Z King is asking, when can Aviles not get booked? Listen, this guy's a crazy person. We're gonna go over that. Well, that's one of the topics. That's one of the topics that I wanted to go over, right? I was the one. Okay, well, we'll link up a little bit later. Listen, fall river cards. How are you going to say playoffs don't look good? I mean, we still got a chance. Listen, if you're still in the fight, you're still in the fight. There's no way you could say that we don't have a chance or it doesn't look good. And then PK chiming in, yeah, Aviles was way too wild and reckless. I mean, I guess that's what you get for an inexperienced player, a young player. You kind of get the same energy from like Ben Krem and a little bit from David Ruiz. Which, you know what? Now that we're on that topic, right, I want to talk a little bit about built, not bought, because there was like a big thing made out during the game where we supposedly, I guess, buy everything that we have and we're not built and all this other garbage, right? I mean, we literally have like, I think it was 5 players that were homegrown players that were playing in this game, starting in this game. the one player that scored a goal for us, David Ruiz, is a homegrown player. I mean, what are these guys talking about? What are you guys talking about, Orlando? Built, not bought. And you guys are clueless. You guys are literally clueless. And I hope that we have some Orlando fans here because you guys are legitimately delusional. You guys are legitimately delusional. If any of you guys got some thoughts about the whole built, not bought thing, I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking about that. And one thing I could say is, yeah, Mr. Krabs is mentioning here in the chat, no matter what, we need to sign better defenders this offseason. You know, Kamal Miller is a good defender. I mean, I don't know if he's going to stay here long term or anything like that, because I know that he has aspirations to go on the other side of the pond, right? But he's a good defender. I mean, Kristoff, he got dinged up or got tired. I don't know. And I mean, we don't have bad defenders. We have Jordi Alba now, right? And Noah Allen's starting to develop. So I don't want to say that we have bad defenders. I mean, I guess we can add an extra one. And Baldwin, yeah, San Diego just spent $500 million. Yeah, I mean, listen, but that's what you have to do, man. If you want to reach another level, right? You know, I asked a question in one of the tweets by one of these Orlando clowns. I asked him, like, what, you don't want to see the MLS grow? You don't want to see the MLS grow. You want to stay in your Barney playground playing with all the same kids that you play with. You don't want to see the league grow. You don't want to see your team grow. And let me tell you, Orlando is one of those teams that I feel like they can bag like a pretty good like a free agent, like a player that's willing to come over to Orlando. But I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand what the whole built not bought thing. I guess because of the whole sanction deal. But listen, we're playing within the lines now, right? I mean, we're under sanctions, but next year, all bets are off, baby. You can't be able to pull that kind of talk with us. Yeah, and Rohan, perfect point. Orlando's just salty they couldn't get Neymar. Listen, Neymar went to go get that bag. Neymar went to go get the bag, and they're super salty about that. And their boy Facundo is going to be leaving at some point too. I mean, that guy's not staying for sure. For sure, he's not staying. And Mike V apologizing that DeSantis taxed Mickey Mouse and now they're broke. Sucks to suck, Barney. Yep, they want to keep playing in the same playground in the same, sandbox. So that's just a little bit about what I wanted to go over with that whole built not bought thing. I mean, if you guys have more on that, you can be able to chime in the chat. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have some thoughts about about that. Now, one thing that I wanted to go over before I start recapping what happened in the first half and in the second half, because what ended up happening is the starting lineup just sort of triggered me a little bit. I'm going to post the starting lineup here. So for you guys that are on YouTube, I posted up the starting lineup right here. And for you that are on audio, it's displayed as a 4-4-2. So we have Noah Allen left back, Kristoff and Aviles playing center backs, with Yedlin playing the right back, Kremaski supposedly playing the left mid, Taylor playing the right mid, David Ruiz, Arroyo playing in the center midfield, and then you have Martinez and Campana up at the top, right? Now, this starting lineup, what happened here is this sort of struck me very odd because, one, it was projected that Facundo would be starting. He didn't. It was projected that Kamal Miller would be starting. He didn't. And here we are with Aviles that started and ended up playing like a real crazy person, which we'll go over in a little bit. And then we had this 4-4-2 ended up switching over to like Taylor ended up playing on the left. Kremaski was over on the right, and then it ended up being like a 5-3-2 sort of deal, or they would alternate between 5-3-2 and a 4-4-2. So this starting lineup just kind of struck me odd, and I was very surprised by it because, and I'm going to put it back up again. I mean, did any of you guys expect this? Did any of you guys expect Aviles to get the start? Because I didn't expect that. And I definitely didn't expect Facundo not getting on the field. That's something that I definitely didn't expect. So moving on, right? So that's the picture of the starting 11. So we start the game, and I write notes typically during the game as it goes along to some of the main points, some of the things that really sort of stand out to me in the game. And I thought, well, first of all, that was really weird. And then there's a huge foul in the 6th minute by Aviles. Aviles just plays super duper aggressive, right? Tom, and I'm putting a little code on the bottom, which you guys can be able to see. Thomas Aviles is a crazy person, right? Am I the only one that's on that island that Thomas Aviles is a real crazy person? Hold on. Was Aviles good? You guys in the chat, you guys that are in the chat right now, tell me if you agree with this gentleman or this person here saying that Aviles was good. Was Aviles good? And then Andy the Crimson saying Aviles was stupid. What contradicting points do we have here? PK mentioning that he is crazy most deaf. Noobs for hire mentioning he is young. I mean, look, I want crazy in my center back, right? You kind of want yeah, and Clara chiming in. Toto is reckless. Yep. I look, Mr. Spider Pig saying that his combative style is good. Look, I'm not going to tell you that as a center back, I guess you have to have. I guess you have to have that sort of aggression in order to be able to play that position effectively. And this is, I guess, a good point right here by Kong Lei. Aviles wasn't bad, but he was reckless. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, right? I mean, that recklessness is something that, listen, after he got that yellow card later on in my notes, right? I ended up writing down after that foul, right? He gets a yellow card and potentially another big foul, right? And it's a huge challenge that he makes. Terrible challenge, right? And I thought that he was going to get the other yellow. No hesitation. He got bailed out big time. And this was early in the game. This was an early play in the game, right? It's a little bit after the 25th minute, 26th minute, I believe, when he ended up possibly being able to obtain his second yellow card, because his first yellow card was around the 23rd minute. And with the way that he was playing, I'm actually very surprised that he didn't get sent off. I'm super surprised. Yeah, and Mr. Krabs is in agreement with me. Mr. Krabs saying Aviles was booked the first few seconds he got in. Listen, this guy breathes on the field. He's getting a yellow card. This guy breathes on the field, and he's getting a yellow card. And Tarusha mentioning in the chat that we got way too many yellows. Yeah, we did. There was a lot of yellow cards, and I have it somewhere here. What was it? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me see. So there's 5, 6 yellow cards, I believe. 6 yellow cards were handed, 5 or 6, somewhere around that ballpark range. So, yes, a lot of yellow cards. I mean, you could tell that this was a derby, right? And we were playing aggressively. And it was going to be that kind of game, very chippy sort of game. And Mr. Spider Pig is also mentioning here that Martinez has lost his mojo. Listen, Martinez he's lost it for a couple games now. He really does need to be able to do something. I don't know what's going on with that. And it's something that he's definitely going to have to pick up, because I can imagine that Campana signing a long-term deal sort of gave him a really stiff punch to the gut. And so now, I mean, I don't want to say what is he playing for, but he's looking at this situation as like, am I going to be here long-term, or is this like, this is it for me? Right. I believe that that's going to be coming in the future for sure. So we move on, right? Keep on covering the first half. David Ruiz, there was a play where he basically lost the ball around the 17th minute. and he got bailed out. They called a foul. It was for us that they called it for, and he played the ball a little too far away from him, with not enough, I guess, good enough touch, and he ended up losing the ball. And it was a super bailout because at that point, if they didn't call it, Orlando would have been 1,000 miles per hour the other way. And Kung Lee is mentioning in the chat fair results for both teams. I mean, look, Orlando didn't really need the win. I mean, let's not get it twisted. Orlando didn't need this. We needed this more than they did. You know, they're in second place. They've already solidified the playoff spot, right? I mean, the worst that can happen with them is that they're going to drop off, right? But I mean, I imagine that they, of course, wanted the game just because they're playing Inter Miami. So the fact that you're getting up just to play us and you couldn't even be able to get Kamal Miller's tremendo cojones until after the first half, I feel sorry for you guys. You guys paid 400, 300 plus bucks for tickets, and you couldn't even see Miller's cojones for a whole game. Only half of the game, right? No Messi, no Busquets, no Alba, no cojones. You guys got freaking duped. You Barney heads got freaking duped big time. Geez, you guys in the chat, you're firing away, man. Thank you guys so much for chiming in the chat. You guys are awesome. You guys are literally amazing. And for those of you that are hanging out with me, thank you so much for hanging out in the chat, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so. There should be a lot of likes right now, a lot of little thumbs up things going on there. So, other than Thomas Aviles, because later on he ended up kind of calming it down. So we'll proceed in the first half. But one thing I noticed in the beginning is that we just couldn't get out of our half, right? We weren't able to get like a really good push up from any of our offensive minded players, and there was just not good enough passing going on, not enough good ball rotation going on. A lot of players just didn't have a really good touch with the passes that were made. And look at my son chiming in. Like and sub. Yeah, guys. Like and subscribe, guys. Like and subscribe. Andy is asking, where is Danny? Danny is on his way down here. I don't know if he's going to join in or not. We'll see. I don't think so. But he's on his way down to Miami. He should be on tomorrow, right? And Joe Kerr is to give us some props to my son. Thank you for that, Joe Kerr. Which, by the way, Joe Kerr, it's a good thing that you chimed in here for sure. You asked me about the guest last week. Listen, I don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow, if it's not going to happen tomorrow, but it might happen tomorrow. We'll have to see. We'll probably mention this sometime tonight, if not tomorrow. This is a great point by right? Absence of Busquets felt a lot. Yes. For sure. And that's the reason that we couldn't really get out of our own first half. That's the reason that we couldn't get out of our first half out of our half in the first half. We just couldn't get out. We couldn't make any sort of, I mean, I think there were maybe like 2 or 3 strong plays where we sort of started playing a little bit more cleaner and getting guys down to the sides, which there's an image that I ended up emailing myself. And I'm going to see if I can be able to grab this real quickly. But I don't know if you guys saw in the broadcast, around halftime, Apple ended up basically putting an image down showing sort of where the attacking was occurring for the game. And I mean, I can't really screenshot it because Apple decides that they don't want anybody stealing their content, even if it's just stupid graphics, right? But I ended up taking a picture from my phone of this graphic, which I'm going to go ahead and put up now. It was a really interesting graphic. Hold on, let me see here. And PK is mentioning here in the chat, Chris, let's be honest, Tata lined up for a draw and he got it. Mission complete. Listen, mission complete, Papa. I'm totally good with that. And Broward Heron kicking in for sure. Game was a rest game for our main squad. Yes, most definitely it was a rest game. It was definitely a rest game. Okay, and Mr. Krabs say he watched it on Fox, so he didn't see it. Well, since you saw it on Fox and you couldn't be able to see it, I'll go ahead and I'll put it up for you now. So if you guys could be able to see on this graphic, it shows sort of where the attacking zones are between Orlando and Inter Miami. And as you can see on Inter Miami's side, it's pretty even, right? You got 40% coming out the left wing, 40% on the right wing, and then 10 and 10 left channel and right channel, which sort of reminds me of the Neville days, right? And a lot of people are probably going to clown that because we don't have Neville anymore. Where we weren't necessarily playing Neville ball, but hey, look, let me tell you something. The crosses were kind of working. And then over on the Orlando City side, you start to see that there's a huge discrepancy here. You have 45% on the left wing. You have 18% on the right wing, 23% on the left channel, and then 14% on the right channel, which is very surprising. Because let's take a look at this image by Orlando, right? 45% on the left wing. That means that they were attacking more towards Yedlin's side than Noah Allen. Now, that strikes me very crazily, not because I think Noah Allen's garbage, because by the way, I love Noah Allen. The Battered Herons are 1,000% supporters of Noah Allen. We love him and we loved seeing his growth. But if I was to see it sort of evenly based and say, who would I rather attack as a coach or as a player, Noah Allen or Yedlin, I probably would go after the younger player, the more inexperienced player, versus going after Yedlin. But that's not what this graphic shows. It shows that they went almost half the time towards the left wing. I mean, that's incredible. 45% the attacks were happening from the left wing. Now, I do know that Orlando has the tendency to spread wide, and they have the tendency. Listen, Joe Kerr, I'm not hating on him. We love Noah. We started the hashtag free Noah Allen, okay? Because one thing that I really don't like is that Phil Neville had him locked up. Or, I mean, I don't want to say he had him locked up, but for whatever reason, he just wasn't using him. He wasn't using him as often. But yes, Joe Kerr, like you're mentioning in the chat, it looked a lot like Neville ball. And that's how you can tell that we just weren't having any sort of cohesiveness down the middle. So that didn't help. But hopefully you guys appreciate that little graphic that I ended up putting there, because that kind of opened my eyes in terms of what the attack was on the Orlando City side, right? Now, proceeding to talk about the first half, I really wanted to see Stefanelli come in or Miller, and Miller was basically coming in the second half, but he was kind of slated to start in the first half because Kristoff ended up getting hurt. And guys, did you guys see the sauce by Campana? Campana with that nasty move, trying to beat a guy down, and I don't know the right word for this in football, so I'm just going to use the word that I use in basketball, the baseline. He was for sure. Oh yes, and Mike V mentioning hashtag free Ascona. Ascona is phenomenal. I want to see some more of Ascona, but I mean, unfortunately, when Messi, Busquets, and Alba come back, that's not going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen. So we end up finishing the first half. Okay. And by the time that we ended up finishing the first half, the score was 0-0, no goals. And from what I can gather online, it seemed like everybody was sort of happy with the score, not too happy with the way that we were playing, but obviously everybody's sort of being as as hopeful as possible that we were going to sort of crescendo back in the second half, right? So the second half starts, and then we basically had some crucial substitutions. We had Kamal Miller come in for Kristoff, and this is one thing I wanted to mention. Sailor came in for Aviles. Who saw that? Who saw Sailor coming over McVeigh, right? Him getting substituted instead of McVeigh coming in. And I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming. I thought that, if anything, McVeigh would be a little bit more favored than Sailor. But I guess Sailor is I guess he He's doing pretty well in the eyes of the coaching staff and doing, I guess, a little bit better than McVay. And so he ended up getting, brought in over McVay. So that's something that really kind of caught my eye as well. And beautifully made 7 minutes later, David Ruiz gets a goal, homegrown player, right? Not bought. He gets a beautiful goal, beautiful rebound, by the way, which you guys that are trashing Joseph, that was because he decided to make the attempt to score the goal. If it wasn't for that or the pass, right? Because the pass put him in the perfect place. But that shot that he took, listen, I'm pretty sure he would have preferred it on his right side. But Joseph is one to take the shot left or right side. That's one thing that I do have to give him over Campana is that Campana, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see him try to push it over to his left side. Whereas Joseph, even though he's not on his game right now, he's the kind of player that he's going to take it wherever he can get it. He's not going to be one of these guys like, for example, Campana always pushing it to his left. Robbie Robinson never goes to his left. He pushes it to his right every single time. And for all intents and purposes, unfortunately, Taylor, who is one of our faves, right, Neymar Light, he's another one that sort of always pushes it to his right, which is crazy. It drives me crazy because if you're sort of an offensive-minded player and you work on your craft all the time, every single day, look, Darusha, I'm not telling you that he is like a Hall of Famer, that he is a great player, because he's not, especially now, right? A couple years ago, he was something, right? But right now, yeah, I agree with you. He's not great. I'm not going to say he's getting trashier by the day. He's just not. I really don't even know what to call it. It's funny because he had so many opportunities early when we had Messi, but then little by little, he started just losing it. And then the minutes started coming down. And then you start seeing the inefficiencies by Martinez. And then you just fall out of favor, especially as a striker, as an attacker. You're expected to put the ball in the back of the net. And if you have players, and we're talking about world-class players, right? We're not talking about like Pizarro, right? World-class players that are supplying you with the opportunities to be able to put the ball in the back of the net, and you can't, then that's bad news for you, Papi. Bad news. Yeah, Joe Kerr. At some point, I am gonna have Jose Duran running this podcast. I promise you. At some point, we will. I don't want to say that too. I mean, he's watching. Thank you for watching, Papi. I know that you're watching. That doesn't mean that you're gonna come down and run it right now, okay? But for sure, you're gonna be running it soon at some point in the future. I promise. All right. So getting back to the game, so we had the goal by homegrown David Ruiz, not bought, right? And that was around the 53rd minute. Now later on, Yedlin ended up getting suspended. And I mean, not suspended. He ended up getting a yellow card around the 55th minute. But then an image comes up saying that he is suspended. So I guess he got the consecutive yellow deal where he's suspended in the next game, which I don't believe. As a matter of fact, I think I know this to be certain. It's not going to be for the U.S. Open Cup match, but it is going to be in the next match that we have next Saturday. Now, I do know that if he is suspended for the next game, and then after that, I think if you don't get a certain amount of yellow cards, you get like a conduct thing, and you can be able to sort of kind of fall back into favor. But the next game that's within our MLS schedule is Inter Miami against NYCFC next Saturday at 7:30, and that one is where he is apparently going to be suspended for. And you're asking T98 Car Spare, why did he get a yellow card? I believe it was because he was like holding the ball and sort of chomping at the bit, sort of talking a little shit to one of the Orlando players. And Sean, yeah, it's just like you said, just like what I thought. Yeah, it's an MLS game, not for Open Cup. So the Open Cup, he's going to be good for that. But the next game, which is against NYCFC. That one is the one where he's probably going to be missing. So for sure, it's going to be. I mean, look, I think that Yedlin has improved this year. He's definitely improved, and I think that having the big three has definitely helped him in his progression as a player with the team. Uh, and this I agree with too, Sanguine. Sanguine mentioning in the chat that Yedlin getting suspended is a blessing in disguise. He was due for arrest anyway. Listen, there was like 2 plays where he was it looked like he was just super gassed. I mean, he's over there with Angulo, who is just fast as hell, man. To be able to catch up to that guy is just phenomenal. So for sure, that's somebody that does need rest. And Rob Vank, welcome. Sorry Messi didn't play. Here's your question. For any more updates on Messi, will he play on Wednesday? Supposedly, he will be playing. He just had muscular problems or some sort of problems. And yes, he will be playing supposedly. And he will be playing on Wednesday. So, I mean, we're talking about playing for some hardware, Bobby. We're talking about playing for some hardware. Yeah, he's going to play. He's going to be playing. Now, is the NYCFC match, is that going to be at Yankee Stadium? No, that's actually going to be here in Drive Pink Stadium in South Florida. So, guys, if you guys have tickets, hope to see you guys out there. And if you don't, get yourself some tickets. Go out there. It's a great experience to be able to go to the park, to the stadium, and to be able to watch these guys. Even before Messi came, before Messi came, I think it was even a little bit more better because it was more intimate. Now it's just a little bit more lively because you have a lot more fans that are more, I don't want to say more passionate, but you have a lot more fans that are just sort of chanting and screaming. So that's always very good. Now, Matt Beck is asking, who's our backup right back? Taylor? Yeah, Taylor would probably be him. I've never seen Noah Allen play right back. I do know, and you guys are not going to like this answer. I know that you guys are not going to like this answer. I do know that Ulloa at some point has played right back. So I don't want to be the one that breaks news here, but I think that if Yedlin doesn't play, we might see Ulloa in the right back. We might be seeing your guys' favorite player, aka Ulloa Haslam, okay, playing right back for your Inter Miami CF. Okay. But don't say that I'm the one that told you that, because then a lot of people are going to kill me. So, speaking on the second half, right? Unfortunately, we end up succeeding a goal, and this was in the 66th minute, I believe. Let me see. Let me look at what's happening here. So, yes, it was the 66th minute that we ended up getting a goal scored on us by Duncan McGuire, which that just, I don't want to put the blame on anybody defensively, because I felt like defensively they were playing pretty well, but there was some sort of a collision between 2 players where the ball just sort of ended up skidding towards the goal. And then Duncan, hey, look, as a striker, you just have to capitalize on those kind of plays. And he ended up capitalizing when needed. And listen, preach, Tharusha, preach. 200 plus are watching, and there's only 7 guys. What are we doing here, guys? You can literally swipe down on the chat or do something there. One swipe, thumb to the like button, and then come right back in. It's as easy as that, guys. Come on. What are we doing, guys? Drop the beer, swipe it down, thumb it up, and keep it moving, guys. Put some respect, guys. Let's go. Let's go. There we go, Richard Greenberg. And supercalifragilistic. Are you talking about the goal by Duncan, or are you talking about the goal by David Ruiz? Because the goal by Duncan was good as well. Like I said, he ended up really catching that opportunity, and he took advantage of it. He ended up taking advantage of that big time. So, and look, like I said before, strikers are supposed to be right place, right time kind of guys. So when it comes to him getting on board or getting one on board for the team, that's just expected out of you, right? And Jean Louisville saying, I don't know what to say about Joseph Martinez. Listen, I don't know what to say about him either. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I wish I could tell you that there's 1, 2, 3 problems with him and we could just solve them very easily. I mean, we're basically getting this guy, for free 99 this year, right? Clara saying, show some effing respect, hit the like button, guys. Come on. So getting back to what I was saying about Joseph, right? We're getting this guy for free 99. And obviously, we want to try to get as much out of him as possible. And if he's not putting up points, if he's not taking advantage of the opportunities that he has, then, I mean, at some point, you're just going to have to kind of bail out on that plan to begin with because, listen, you have Campana that legitimately, talking about the two at the top, right? Campana's scored goals when he's on the field without Messi, without Jordi Alba. I mean, how can you be able to compare the progression between Joseph Martinez and Campana when Campana has scored goals without having the best player on the entire freaking planet with him? I mean, I'm not delusional, guys, right? I mean, I don't know too much about football except pitch and all this other kind of stuff, but I mean, guys, am I delusional here? For a player to be able to score goals without the greatest player of all time on the pitch with you, and I'm not saying every single goal that he made was without Messi. There's goals that he made with Messi, but he scored goals without Messi. Has Joseph scored goals without Messi? I'm gonna have to take a look at that. That's actually some interesting information. I'm gonna have to pull that up. I'm gonna pull that up shortly as we move along. So later on, we ended up getting a couple substitutions, and one of the substitutions was Farias comes in for Joseph Martinez. So finally, Joseph Martinez gets off the field. We got Facundo. Finally, the Facundo versus Facundo matchup that we had been waiting for all day happened. And Mike V mentioning, yes, he scored goals, PKs. I guess you can call those without Messi. And this is the point right here, Andy the Crimson. Yeah, he's just lost his confidence. And one point that I want to mention here, Chalapa is mentioning that no one here is talking about how slow Campana is going to the goal post to be able to take a pass from the other forward. Listen, he doesn't have very high speed, but he gets a really good working run with him. He gets a really good working run with him. He's not fast, but he generates speed very quickly. But then once he gets into his running steps, he's not very fast. You guys are lucky that you didn't see Schneider Borgelin run, because Borgelin was awfully slow. He was awfully slow. And Tharusha is mentioning we need Messi on Wednesday. Yes, yeah, we need Messi because, yes, Houston is tearing it the hell up. He is tearing it the hell up. And Rohan, you're mentioning that I'm not ready for that Joseph Open Cup winner. Is that what you're predicting? Is that official? Are you putting that on stone? That Joseph will be getting, sealing an Open Cup winning goal? Is that what's happening? And Rob Venk, am I going to be doing a match day vlog for the final? That should be fun. Listen, who knows, guys? I'm just starting to learn how to use this little iPhone thing. So listen, who knows? So moving on into the game, right? Farias comes in. You feel a little bit of the change happening in the game, but in reality, no goals happen after that. Arroyo gets a yellow card. Robbie Robinson comes in for Taylor, which Taylor was just exhausted. He's just exhausted. And Robbie Robinson actually playing kind of cute too. I'm actually surprised that he didn't really mess up anything too poorly. And then Kremaski, who looks like he was just rolling in a wheelchair the last 5 minutes of the game. Ulloa comes in for him to make sort of a defensive stance, and then the game is over. And we ended up taking the game 1-1. And I love it because here's Orlando thinking that they're going to walk away with the win, that this is a cupcake game. And we ended up throwing some pie in their face and saying, hey, guess what? You guys are going to have to eat this tie 1-1. We each get 1 point, and we stay right where we are. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the standings. Okay, now that we're off in the second half, we're going to talk a little bit about the standings. Now, the standings that I have up here are off of Google, which we are still in 14th place in the East. We have 32 points, and NYCFC holding in 9th place has 37. So now we are 5 points away from holding the 9th seed. And the best part about that is that NYCFC is the team that we will be playing in our next MLS game 6 days from now. So the destiny is held within our hands. And honestly, I kind of like that. As a fan, as a fan of a team that I want to be able to make the playoffs, I feel like there's no better destiny than the destiny that you hold in your hands. The moment that you start waiting for the ball to bounce one way or the other in the standings, that's when you're going to have a scary time, because now you're starting to watch teams like, Montreal play against like Real Salt Lake and all this kind of garbage. So you don't want that kind of business. You want to be able to hold your own destiny in your hands, and you can be able to sort of understand where it is that you're going to fall when it comes to your place in the MLS and in the playoff hunt, right? So again, like I mentioned, we have 32 points. Charlotte has 33 points. Chicago in 12th place has 34 points. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can be able to just get a quick image up of the standings, unless my computer decides to just blow up out of nowhere. Let's see here. So we have the point values are here. So yeah, we're about 5 points away from NYCFC. And yeah, I can't pull this up. I'm sorry, guys. You're just going to have to take my word for it and hope that I'm not lying to you. So so we have, again, going over it again, Inter Miami has 32 points. Charlotte in 13th place has 33. Chicago has 34. NYC and the New York Red Bulls have 34 as well. They're tied with Chicago. And then DC United have 36. And in 9th place, we have NYCFC with 37 points, and they're actually also tied with Montreal. So if the right things decide to happen, then we can quite possibly be able to skip over to the 8th seed instead of just the 9th seed, right? So that's actually pretty good. And the crazy thing is that we have the New York Red Bulls who play Chicago next Saturday. Let's see here. So we have the Red Bulls that play Chicago next Saturday, which, as I mentioned, you have the Red Bulls in Chicago that are both tied at 34. So one of those guys are not gonna be able to go up. Hopefully they both tie and they just stay right where they are, so we could just leapfrog them. You have New England that plays against Charlotte next week. And obviously, we'd want New England to get that win, so that way Charlotte just stays where they're at, and we can be able to leapfrog them. We have Orlando City against Montreal. Unfortunately, guys, we're going to have to hope that Orlando City win that game. And then we have Toronto against Cincinnati. Who cares about Toronto, right? And Cincinnati's the number 1 seed, so I don't really care anything about that game. You have Columbus, who plays Philadelphia, which Columbus and Philadelphia are sort of in their own like little battle up there in the 3rd and 4th place. So we can leave them alone. And then later on, we end up having, basically those are the only teams that we would have to wait for in order to be able to see kind of where the chips fall. So a lot of good games to look forward to on Saturday, not just ours. And Baldwin, the thing is, we don't have to win. So Baldwin's chiming in the chat. We have to win every game to make 9, and with luck, maybe 8th. We don't have to win every game. I mean, look, if we win every single game, we might make 8th or 7th possibly. And I'll let Danny do the math. He knows all the math stuff. He knows how to math really well. I don't. But for the point of obviously getting into the playoffs, we don't need a win every single game. We just need to be able to win all of our games except for one. One of them we can afford a loss. But if we win the other games, which it's super obtainable. Super obtainable. I definitely can be able to see that happening. So, we have teams that we could potentially be able to beat. We have NYCFC, we have Chicago, we have Cincinnati, and we have Charlotte and Charlotte again. So, guys, I mean, this is potentially something that we'll be looking forward to in terms of making it to the playoffs. And Joe Kerr, look, you're 1,000% correct. Wednesday is the priority. That's a fact. Another piece of hardware in our trophy case, and with no spying involved, like what Orlando does, right? I mean, that I mentioned on Twitter that Orlando, I think, ended up hiring like a SEAL team to be able to go spy on the high school team that they ended up playing in the U.S. Open Cup. So, we're not like that, guys. We don't need to hire a SEAL team in order to spy on a high school team. And again, I mean, you're out here with one of the best names of all time. Inter Miami is well balanced, not win the rest of the matches. Again, we don't have to win every match. So, and Giovanni is mentioning here, and I'm going to read it out because it's a pretty long comment. He's mentioning, wait, you guys didn't know we are in position 9 with this draw because the ones in position 9 and 10 played 2 games more than us, and the 11th and 12th played 1 more game than us. Yeah, we have 2 games in hand against some of the opponents. So, I mean, we're not in 9th place in terms of the placement, but we do have the potential of being in that 9th place, most definitely. So, listen, playoffs are not out of hand. Don Cafecito, one of the best Inter Miami fans you can find out there. I hope you're watching because the playoffs are coming, Papi, and we're coming for the playoffs. And you better be in line because the playoffs are coming and we're going to be there. Okay? As long as Danny maths the math correctly, tomorrow you guys will have a way better response, or I guess a way better explanation of how the numbers will be broken down. Jean is mentioning Aviles needs to get lecture for sure. He's going to get tremendo papao. And supercalifragilistic. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'm not holding it alone, guys. You know how many other people I got with me? I got 194 people with me. So thank you guys so much for showing out, because I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with 194 people, right? So and my son asking to like and sub so we win the playoffs. I mean, hopefully if you like and sub, we win the playoffs. But if we don't take back your likes and your subs. Don't do that. That's not nice, right? So, guys, I went over a little bit about how the game broke down. We went over a little bit about how we're built, not bought. Thomas Aviles is legitimately a crazy person and a half. I'm hoping that at some point he can be able to calm his nerves down because he is a little bit off the head. He's a little bit off the hinges. Listen, and you're saying it right there. I'm not alone. Let's go, Herons. See, and I want you guys to know something. We know that we're saying herons and not herons, and I'm not going to cover that, but I just want you guys to know that. And article Athletic is mentioning Robinson doesn't have it. Listen, Robinson hasn't had a lot of opportunities, and everybody calls him Robbie Glass Legs. And I feel like it's not fair to call him Robbie Glass Legs, but dude, he just keeps getting injured. He has some bad luck, man. He has some bad luck. You know what it is like to be a professional athlete, a professional soccer player, and you you suffer a lot of injuries like that, and this sport just, it kills you in your legs. So I can only imagine what he has to go through. And before we go ahead and end the podcast tonight, I can see 4 wins and draw against Cincy. That's what Sharat is mentioning. Will it put us through playoffs? I think so. I think so. I think so. I think most definitely. And Alito is saying Miami trophy on Wednesday. Guys, if you say it, it'll happen. You're speaking it into existence, Alito. So I believe it. Okay, guys. So before we wrap it up, again, I want to thank all of you guys for chiming in, all of you guys for hanging out with me in the chat on this beautiful Sunday night after a 1-1 tie against Orlando's shitty football club, right? Barney and the gang in their sandbox. Thank you guys so much for chiming in the chat. You guys are definitely and legitimately the best part of this podcast, of this show. Without you guys, we'd be nothing, and we definitely appreciate that literally from the bottom of our hearts. So thank you guys so much to be able to sort of hang out, interact, and see some of your reactions about this game, about the play. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to be covering the game that we have on Wednesday against Houston. And again, we might have a couple guests on for that episode as well. So again, thank you guys so much. You guys are the best part of the show. For those of you that are not listening on YouTube and you guys are listening on audio, thank you guys so much for chiming in, and of course for listening to us on Apple, on Spotify, and guys on your streaming platforms. Go ahead and put 5 stars, all that other kind of stuff. Put a comment, say Danny is a piece of shit, since he always calls me a piece of shit. And guys, that's that. Thank you guys so much again for all that you guys do. And by the way, if you guys are interested in any of the shirts that we wear that are from the Battered Fans, Network, here we have the batterfans.com website. You can find Messi shirts, Campana shirts. Guys, you can even get some Knicks shirts. You can be able to get the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins had literally, and I just want to mention this one thing here, guys, and this has to do with the egg-shaped football, like what Esteban Dito says. Today, the Miami Dolphins had such a historic game. Guys, if you didn't watch it, and then go check out the Battered Fins show, okay? You guys have to watch it. Historical game. If you guys are just as jacked up as I am, go on batterfans.com, get a shirt from there, whether it's the Campana shirt, whether it's a Messi shirt, or if you want to get the homegrown shirt, go ahead and check that website out. We got all kinds of stuff there for you. And until the next one, have a good one.